Welcome to Everyday Enlightenment. I'm your host, Patty Teal. I'm coming to you today from Sedona Mago Retreat, 190 gorgeous acres in the high desert near Sedona, Arizona, surrounded by red rocks. It's really gorgeous. My guests today are Diana Osberg and Gary Purviance. Together, Diana and Gary have formed a partnership to create Mia Terra Mar, events to lighten, inspire, create community, and build bridges for a new earth. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks, Patty.
Thanks for having me, Patty.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited that you're going to be coming to Sedona Mago Retreat November 13th through the 17th to put on the New Earth Retreat. And in today's interview, I want to learn more about it so our listeners can hear about it. Gary or Diana, which of you would like to describe this wonderful retreat first?
Well, I guess I'll jump in.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are accustomed to going to conferences, but they don't quite know what a retreat is. And there is a difference. Retreats tend to be more immersive, and people have a chance to have more one-on-one time with our guest speakers. And of course, it's in a beautiful place, as you know, and that's part of it as well, as being immersed into the very healing environment of Sedona. But we have a lot of activities planned for folks, a chance to really get some me time and feel safe and loved, and it's all about community. What else do you want to add to that, Gary?
I have a different take on it. I've gone to quite a few of these over the years, and I think when most people show up, they'll get an experience from somebody, and it's a talking head, and they'll sit there for a couple of hours, and what the speaker is saying at most of these retreats is interesting, and I think it's valid. But I think most of us are well versed. We've read so many books, we've heard so many experiences, and I think the average person is looking for an actual experience themselves, how to commune with their higher self or have some sort of experience on the other side of the veil, some sort of confirmation that there's actually something there. And so I thought, instead of just having somebody come up and spout common sense things that most of us know already, that we'd bring some actual people that have been to the other side, that have had some sort of amazing spiritual experience, and that they could give some insight on how the average person that's open to this could have a similar experience. If a roadmap on how to get there. So that's how I was looking at this retreat, and what Diana and I put together, so it could speak to the average typical person that's on a spiritual quest.
Yeah, that sounds great. I want a roadmap on how to get there. Are there many paths that one can take, or is it just a formula?
Well, if you go to a lot of these retreats, if you've read a lot of books, you'd realize, wow, it seems like there's hundreds of different ways to get there. I can only speak to my own path and the books that I've read, the things that resonated with me. I guess it's just me, the way I got there. So yeah, I've got there through two different ways.
And what were those?
Since I was a child, I had been communicated with on a regular basis. And when you're a kid, you're not sure what it is. You just assume that everybody is being communicated with. You're not even sure if it's a form of communication. Looking back now, I realize what it was. But when you're a child, you'd think, oh, wow, that's cool. That sensation is kind of interesting. And as you get older, you realize not everybody has this similar type of experience. I must be unusual, and not wanting to stand out. Being a kid, you want to be accepted. You kind of suppress it. But to get to the experience, my communication my path to the other side was the way that I was communicated with. It wasn't through words, it was through imagery, and it was imagery that felt as if you were there. You could experience it in first, second, or third person perspectives. It was like you were experiencing everything that was possible in a particular scene that was given to you. And usually these images would come when you're at a crossroads in life. It might not be something major, but something was nudging me to make sure I made the correct decision, that I made the right choice. And it would always be with images that were very vivid. I didn't have to be asleep. It wasn't always a dream. Sometimes it would happen during the day, but when it took over you, it felt as if you were in two places at once. Like you were in the scene that was being displayed to you. And there was always heavy symbolism and a kind of energy that was always there. And the symbolism was kind of like, the way I describe it is kind of shorthand. And it wasn't communicating with words the way we're used to in everyday life. You wouldn't hear words ever. So imagine trying to tell somebody, if you were telepathic, how to do a task, a simple task for you, but only using images, not words.
Mm-hmm.
Saying, hey, could you go run to the grocery store and grab me some eggs and some bacon and make sure it's a specific brand? How would you tell somebody to do that without using vocabulary at all? So this was very different. And you could also feel it from the perspective of the person giving it. And it just felt so real. So as I got older, you start looking for confirmation that this is real, that it's coming from somewhere. And you start to wonder, wow, where is it coming from? Because sometimes the communication would be life-changing. It would send you off into a direction. You go, wow, somebody just saved me basically from making a huge mistake. There was a major consequence involved. So you would question it. And so you start seeking out other people that have had similar communications, and you find out that they've had the same desire to confirm or prove that there's something there also. And so in a nutshell, how did I get there? It was this trial and error process, this struggle to confirm that this was real. And I came down with three avenues. I met over the three ways, I think, are examples of the three people that we have coming to speak and talk on this subject matter at the retreat. One was a channeler, somebody that I had met, and you meet so many different types of people that say that they can channel people. Some of them they just don't do anything for you. But then you meet someone that seems as though they really do have insight, that they really are communicating with somebody on the other side, that there's integrity behind it because of the information that's being given. And there's a feeling that you get. There's some sort of exchange of energy back and forth. So,
and to jump in, our channeler, who is Blair Styra, is one of those people. He's New Zealand's best known channeler, and he's just amazing.
Yes, and once you've had an experience with an amazing channeler, there's no doubt in your mind that some people do have that ability, that's for sure.
Yeah, so some people, that'll be an effective means to open that door, if you will, to communicate with the other side or commune with your higher self. For me, it was such a long trial and error process to find that confirmation. It just didn't happen. It took, we're talking 15, 20 years. The communication was always there, but it was so sophisticated, and I felt like a child, the more that it would come, you realize, oh, wow, this is so difficult. The person that's communicating with me is really going to great lengths to make sure I'm not only comfortable, but also I can understand what they're trying to relate to me. Anyway, to get back to the three different roads, the three different paths that worked for me. This is just what worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
The other way was past life regression hypnotherapy. We have a woman that I discovered just recently. When Diana and I first started talking about putting together this retreat, I mentioned this woman to her. I had seen a few of her sessions. She posts her regressions on YouTube, and I had seen many people regressed and listened to their past lives, and these were just so intriguing. They were nothing like I had ever heard before. And the thing that really struck a chord with me was this term that I had been made aware of 20 years ago in another communication, message that was given to me. The new earth, the shift that was coming, and that was very important, something rare that hardly ever takes place in the evolution of mankind and earth itself. A lot of this was a reoccurring theme in most of her sessions, and I couldn't stop listening to them. They just seemed so not only real, or not only interesting, but real. They reminded me of my own communication that I had been receiving over the years. So I passed it on to Diana, and she thought, wow, this woman is amazing. And Diana said her name's Alva Weinman. She's in Miami. So we thought at the same time that this was someone that we should bring to the retreat. Anyway, that's another path. That's another means of opening that door.
And I should mention too that Alba is going to be, in addition to doing some live hypnotherapy sessions for people to view, exclusive to the retreat, she is also going to do some group hypnotherapy sessions that are included as a part of the retreat. So everyone who comes to the retreat will experience that. It's a little different than doing a one-on-one individual session, but you get a lot out of it. I just went through, and Gary will tell you about his session, but I went through one with her a couple weeks ago, and it was astounding. It'll be posted on her YouTube channel in August sometime. But anyway, go on, Gary.
Well, yeah, the obstacle, the biggest obstacle in my way, when I was looking for this confirmation, trying to find a legitimate route to what I call the other side of the veil, to making contact, was whenever my mother introduced my family into transcendental meditation when I was very young. And I had been meditating since I was a kid. And the goal of meditation, TM at least, was to try to induce an out-of-body state, to find your astral body and commune with your higher self. So I could never make that happen. It was like throwing darts into the darkness. I had no point of reference to even imagine what the sensation was of having that kind of experience. And so I think that's what it is for everyone else. They have no way that even people that have had the experience, if you listen to them, many have a difficult time trying to find the words to even describe the sensation, the feeling of how it is when you slip out of your body and when you're rising above it and the things that happen. So for someone that's meditating or trying to make that happen, you just can't do it. And so when you have a past life regression session, that kind of takes place for people because they're recalling what it's like to transition from one side of the veil, one dimension, to another. And so it will kind of like inch that door open, and you can feel the sensation. And when you do meditate, you can kind of duplicate that sensation again. You have a point of reference. That's another way. That's a second way to find a way to commune with your higher self or get to the other side of the veil, at least for me. And then the third way that ended up working for me, which might not be the most popular way, was Native Americans up and down from, the Americas, from South America to North America. They've been taking these divine plants, ayahuasca, peyote. I had heard a news story when I was driving home from work one day about people that were being treated for heroin and methadone addiction. And the clinic was using a plant, an abstract from the plant called ibogaine. And they were describing that this abstract was having amazing success rates. They were over 95% successful in treating patients that had this addiction. But the thing that really struck out with me was when they were interviewing these people for this program, they were all having profound spiritual experiences. And it completely had changed them after they had the experience. So immediately I thought, wow, this is something. So I started researching and speaking to people that had taken not only this particular type of substance, this plant, but also ayahuasca and other plants around the world. And I spent 2 years interviewing them, researching. I was just astounded at the different types of experiences that these people had. And I came to learn that so many prominent so-called influencers in the world, in our society, major decision makers in government and in business had been taking it also down in private. They didn't make it public, but I was just, I thought I have to, eventually I thought I have to experience this at least once just to try it. So I did. And the natives would describe this substance as a tool to unseat the soul. And that's exactly what happened to me. My soul immediately popped out and I went to the other side instantly. And it was nothing like getting stoned or drunk or seeing crazy hallucinations that people talk about. It was just so much of a matter of fact thing. I just popped out. So those were the 3 different ways. Those are the 3 different ways I got to the other side. And I could go on about what I experienced on the other side, but
we have Dr. Christine Breeze, who's another one of our guest speakers who'll be there at the retreat. And she founded a metaphysical university, but she also runs a retreat center in Ecuador where they do have ayahuasca retreats. So she will be discussing that at the retreat as well. Plus she does some amazing meditation sessions, which will be a lot of fun and I think quite enlightening.
Wow, this is going to be so enlightening and fascinating for people to learn about different paths, and then to see which one resonates or works for them. Is it kind of a little bit for people to see which way would be the best way for them to experience these altered states?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, and it's quite personal, and but it's not just, again, as Gary said, it's not just that you're going to be sitting there listening to these speakers. You're actually, we will not have ayahuasca there, but in other things, people have an opportunity to experience some of these things, and so that they will have. They'll have a better understanding of what the pathway is for them and how to move forward, I think. For me, for example, Gary's much further along in his awakening than I am. I'm really just starting in a lot of ways. But since I had my session with Alba 2 weeks ago, I'm still wide open. And I started a meditation practice late in life, which was right back in January, but I've been very faithful to it. And I had an astral projection about a week ago in meditation, which I attribute mainly to having gone through that session with Alba. And then, of course, Gary's session with Alba has become famous. And it's the most popular session on Alba's YouTube channel, number 81. And it's just mind-blowing. We have a transcript on our blog on our website that you can read, or you can also just watch the video. It's about 2 hours long, but it's quite astounding, and it talks about the shift into the new earth.
And is that the ebook that you mentioned? It's when I was reading that Gary has a new ebook. Is it about that experience?
It's prior to that. Actually, Gary can speak to it, and I'll say we're just launching today. So,
wow.
I had never planned to do a session with Alba. I just thought I thought that I wanted to have her speak at the retreat. I thought this woman was amazing, and so maybe she agreed right away, but she started calling me saying I needed to have a session with her, and that's the last thing I wanted to do. I just was not into it. I just didn't feel like being at that stage. This was just recently. Okay. I felt comfortable with my experience and found the confirmation that I needed, and I thought I had kind of pushed it away, and I was just trying to live a happy life and focus on doing fun things.
Why rock the boat? I get it.
It just had been such a huge part of my life, and it was just like eating the same breakfast every single day for 10, 15 years. I thought, okay, I'm good with it now. I'm happy. Mm-hmm. I found what I needed. So, but she was so persistent. She just would call. And I had, well, to make a long story short, I flew over there. I did the session, and I didn't think it was anything special. To me, it was old news. Okay, great, awesome. I mostly saw images of, I still haven't watched the session. I mostly saw imagery through the perspective of Earth, the Earth as a living being, and how the willful destruction of mankind was just the willful destruction of mankind to the Earth, how horrible it was, and how wrong it was, and how there was going to be a shift that was coming soon, and things would be righted. It was very difficult to listen to and experience, and the video did really well. I was surprised. I didn't even want the video to go public. She had to tell me that she thought it was an amazing session, and 4 weeks after it was done, I let her post it up, thinking that it was no big deal. Nobody would see it. Her YouTube channel was relatively unheard of at the time, and now the thing is getting ready to go viral. It's I think it's at 60,000 views. It's just
60,000, yeah.
Yeah, and I've
And Alba, I might add, she is booked up now with her sessions until June next year.
Wow.
Yeah, and the video's been. I got this note the other day from somebody that it had been translated into so many different languages, 967,000 times, which is a lot. It's a lot, and I know that it's popular because every day when I log into Facebook, there are people waiting for me. They figured out who I was, and they have so many questions, and so
And we have people
instead
write
of
us on to our email address and
yeah, our
asking
website is blown up, and so I've decided to write this ebook instead of taking the time to talk to each and every single person every day, so I could basically
Right.
do something else besides
And
spending my day on Facebook answering the
ebook
same
is
three
amazing.
questions.
The ebook is amazing. It's a wonderful read. It's a lot of fun, and Gary does answer a lot of questions. The title is, let's make sure I get it right, The Con of Man and a Path to the New Earth.
That's it. That's right. Yeah, and it's gonna be coming out today. It took me a while to put it together, and it's finally done. And yeah.
Yeah, besides for it being just so fascinating and so many people can relate to it, it's so interesting that it was nothing that you thought would be a big deal. I just love when life kind of throws these curveballs, and probably it's meant to be all the way around, don't you think?
Yeah. But I knew this stuff was going to happen, but when I was shown these things 15, 20 years ago, it just seemed so far away. And I just thought, oh, that's I can, enjoy life. It's kind of like the analogy I like to use. It reminds me of when I was a kid, and we had kind of a long drive to get to school every day. My dad would drive me every now and then when I missed the bus, and I would just like try to make that drive last forever until he dropped me off in front of the school. And that's how I kind of felt with this. These things just seem so far in the future. I just kind of like staring at the clock, hoping it would go really slow, but no, it's here.
Gary and I are really looking forward to doing this retreat with everybody. We're so excited. We're gathering a wonderful community of people around us. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a safe place where people can come and find your tribe. A lot of us, star seeds and others feel like we don't belong in this world, and we'll belong.
Oh,
yeah, and I can do the pink Jeep thing again. I can't wait.
and that too.
You can find us. If you want to come to the retreat, you can find us on information and register on our website. It's miaterramar.com. And we really do hope you'll come. It's just going to be a life-changing event.
Oh, it sounds like it. And I can't wait. I wish I was a part of the whole thing. It sounds so wonderful. Maybe I can peek my head in. I don't a dance.
The last night, yeah.
Oh, sounds wonderful. Again, that's Mia Terra Mar, MIATERRAMAR.com. So I think a lot of people will be checking that out. It just sounds fascinating. And I thank both of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be our guest today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having us, Patty.
Okay, take care. Bye now.
See you soon.
Yes.